Give me. Good evening to another edition of Team Training Tuesday, which I like to call Applied Neolife. And today we want to tackle the whole concept of core nutrition. And I've put there the answer to the most frequently asked question. And what is that question that is so frequently asked? I'll tell you, because I receive messages on my WhatsApp. Doctor, what should I give someone who has ... And my question to that question is, my answer to that question is another question. Let's put it that way. What are they already on? And to my amazement, the most frequent answer to that question, is they haven't started anything yet. And so my presentation this evening is to give you the reason for Neolife coming up with the concept of core nutrition. And once you get this, it is what we call the foundation. It is totally foundational. It's like building a house. You will always begin with the foundation. Now, what sets Neolife apart is it is the world's leading nutrition company that chose to go human natural. In other words, to give us food. So these are food supplements. They're really not substitutes for food, but one can safely say that because of the way our food production systems have gone, they are very, very important, these supplements, because of obviously the way agriculture has gone, too much chemical inputs. The soils have been damaged, and so we need to supplement with real supplements. Now, I want everybody to understand that there is more than enough for everybody on this planet. But if we continue down the road that we are on now, first of all, we get damaged because we don't get enough nutrients. And then if we practice agriculture in a way that is not regenerative, it doesn't regenerate the soils, we will damage the soil. So Neolife has been very, very careful to source all inputs into the products that they give us from the best places, and they have the technology to check it. So for the guests, I want us to do something unique, and that is to look at the values of Neolife. The first value is absolute integrity, and it is core of who we are. The next value is people are number one. Neolife believes in the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. And the next value is products that work. In other words, quality without compromise. There is nothing like fads and trends. They do the research and give us what we actually need, not what the next company is doing, and so we become me too. No. So there's that advisory board that we have, the Scientific Advisory Board. Then the next value is equal opportunity for all. No matter your age, gender, experience, race, or whatever, you are welcome to the family. And I'll show you what I had done before this came up, an idea that I put on another slide. And then the long-range vision guides all decisions, and that long-range vision should guide you as well in all the decisions you make about your life, your health, and your future. And so you should Consider your future self now and think long term about what you do for your health. So this is what I had thought of. And I said to myself, why do our supplements work? And I'd sort of encapsulated it before. I thought, hey, this actually fits in with our values, based in nature, backed in science. We have a scientific advisory board that you can trust. The products are made up to a standard, not down to a price. But having said that, because you're getting the very best, even if you're paying a little extra, you're paying for something authentic and genuine. What's the point of buying a cheap pair of shoes that will tear in less than a month after they have damaged your feet? Whereas if you pay a little extra for a good pair of shoes that will protect your feet and will last you several years, where is the value between the two? You see, so that's what we're talking about. And then the choice, it gives us choice. There's always something for everyone, regardless of the budget. So again, people shouldn't say those products are expensive. Look, if they can only afford one, it will make a difference. And then finally, logical synergy for real results. So that was my encapsulation of the values of Neolife that we've just gone through. Now let's get into the products. This is the wellness pyramid. This is for the benefit of the guests on the call. We know that physical activity is very important. We should be eating whole grains, lots of fruits and vegetables, and not too much animal protein. And then, of course, you must start avoiding processed fats and sugars, but use the good fats. And that's what we learn about in Neolife. The typical lifestyle pyramid, unfortunately, is like that. People are hardly exercising and they're eating way too much of the wrong stuff. And so the net result is that people become unwell with the passage of time, which is also known as aging, which is now in scientific terms being called inflammaging, because it is known that inflammation plays a big role. So yes, we are supposed to be 100% healthy at birth. The bad news is that many kids are now being born sick because they're being born to unwell mothers. And then we are supposed to actually remain energetic for as long as possible, but the real trend is that we quickly slip into the tired zone and then into the sick zone. We start losing our energy and vitality and live in this zone, the tired and the sick zone, between the ages of 20 and 50 years. How will we arrive at 100 years or even 80 years or even 60 years? Yeah, we won't, because we'll be finished. So Neolife was the first to bring about the concept of cellular nutrition as well. And why do I say first this and first that? I'll tell you in a minute. Because by working at a cellular level, we know that we are all made up of cells. So they pioneered this product. And this is the first product, if you're wondering where to begin. If you ever are asked a question, where do I begin? I always, again, counter that question with another question. What is your budget? How much have you set aside? What can we fit in to the amount of money that you've got? Okay. And that's why for the guests, we have variety and also options of where to begin. Okay, so health is like money. We never have a true idea of its value until we lose it. We don't want to get to that point where we've lost it and then start trying to supplement our way back to. I truly believe that we need to be wise from the beginning and choose the right road if we can possibly do that. So who can we trust? Well, I bring up this slide quite often because researchers found for about 9 years that they did this research, between 2007 and 2016, they found over 700 products that were marketed as dietary supplements, and they were found to have hidden active ingredients that were unsafe or even unstudied. And so if one doesn't know whom to trust, that's what you end up with. And you see, that is a major objection. People say, why should I buy your product when I can buy that product that is cheaper and yet it is just over the counter? You know, that attitude of what's so special about you? Well, I started off by saying human natural nutrition. Okay, so these are the people to trust as far as the scientific advisory board is concerned. They've been active for a long time. The founder, Dr. Arthur First, was a top toxicologist and pharmacologist, and he set up this board to research and develop everything. So it isn't just a bunch of scientists who say, you may use my name. They actually participate in everything that we've got. Right, so cellular nutrition again. Your cells need to be fed at that level. TreeNN does that, and it allows nutrients in and waste matter out, but it is not the only nutrition supplement we have. In my encapsulation of the values, I said we need to have nutrients that work in synergy for real results. And that's why we have what we have that will be unfolded as the core nutrition. Now, as regards TreeNN, why do we need lipids and sterols? When I first saw this opportunity, I actually decided to look at the physiology books that we were reading and maybe not quite appreciating. So years later, after I saw this opportunity, I went back to those same books to find out exactly how our cells are constructed. What is the material? What is the building material of our cells? And lo and behold, I found that they were exactly the biochemistry of lipids and sterols that are found in TreeNN. So you see, when God put them in grain, he knew that it was the most abundantly eaten food worldwide and that we should be getting it. But then human beings have since processed it out of food with the result that we do not get it anymore. So this is what happens. Our cells become harder and harder. As a result, nutrient utilization is affected, energy is affected. Cellular health, yes, you need your cells to be healthy so that your organs are healthy, so that you in your totality are healthy. That is affected if we don't have these lipids. Especially if the cells are not making the energy, there will be no vitality. So core nutrition for adults looks something like that. There's Pro Vitality, and there are shakes that contain all 22 amino acids. This is the official core nutrition. However, you can play around with what you choose as your shake. It can be NutriShake, it can be sports protein shake. If the budget does not allow, you may say, okay, while I'm waiting to get more money, I'll start with the Pro Vitality and then I will add the shake. Or you can do part of the Pro Vitality. That's what a Pro Vitality looks like. TreeNN that I've described. You'll get a little bit of protein in the omega oil, as you would everywhere else, because protein is also found in plants as well as it is in animal products. However, the recommendation is that the core nutrition is what it is, right? Then you get your vitamins and minerals, you get your fruits and vegetables, and that's why it is core, because most people, about 75% of people in their ordinary diet do not get enough fruits and vegetables. The recommendation is a minimum of 5. Neolife said, no, that's not enough. You should be having about 13 to 15 different colored colors of fruits and vegetables with dense colors like the ones that you see in this picture, the carrots, the tomatoes, the berries. So that's why it's important to supplement. And then we have our little ones called children. It is a mission to feed them. It is very complicated these days to be able to feed children. So, and of course, we have to contend with foods that are increasingly becoming allergy causing, like milk. A lot of children are now quite allergic. We have to contend with the possibility of genetically modified foods. So where do we even begin? Well, Neolife thought about it and said, okay, there's a basic core nutrition for children, which gives you a shake and VitaSquares. Now, why am I emphasizing shake? Neolife is the only company that will give you all the 22 amino acids that are sourced from food. And then they undergo a process called the ProtaGuard process, which partially digests the proteins so that when you take them, your stomach and your digestive system doesn't have the stress of digesting it. So that even if you at that stage have very low stomach acid because of the poor nutrition status that you might have, these are absorbed and they get to work to do the repair work. Protein is very, very important for growth of children, for repair, and for replenishing enzymes, hormones, and for generally making sure that the structure that is by and large protein, which is you, your skin, your muscles, your brain, is always kept replenished with the right amino acids. In there, you have the essential amino acids that are important for building muscle as well. And if you remember the webinar that we had on sarcopenia, you can revise. Those are valine, isoleucine, and leucine. Very, very important. Now, a lot of nutrition does not supply all amino acids. And the rule actually should be that you get them in one meal. If you have 9 in the morning and maybe 4 in the evening or 10 in the evening in separate meals, they don't work as well as when you have them all together. And so you might say, but I eat a lot of meat. You know, that might be a problem. You might be damaging yourself more by eating a lot of that kind of food. Because I've mentioned digestion, I will mention that the fact that it has to be cooked denatures a lot of the amino acids. So we are up with a problem and we need to consider supplementation. So now the full core nutrition that is equivalent to our adult one for children, because the adult one has the Pro Vitality that has salmon oil, it has this one has VitaGuard, ours has carotenoid complex. The difference with adding a VitaGuard here is that you are giving the children flavonoid complex, which is found in VitaGuard. So they get both carotenoids and flavonoids and lots of minerals in here as well. As in the VitaSquares, they will get the vitamins and minerals and the TreaNN. It's a unique combination for children because I don't think there is any other company that has added what Neolife has for children and emphasized the importance. And then, of course, we have the salmon oil, which is a mini capsule. So it's very, very important to remember the children. I cannot emphasize it enough. May I ask you to please remain muted, because if you don't, I actually have evicted people in the past, and I'm not shy to do so again. Okay, let's carry on, because now you're about to unmute if you have a question. So now, the other concept is targeted solutions. But you notice that you will always start with core nutrition, the foundation products that this particular presentation is all about. And then you can add targeted solutions for specific health. We have talked about weight management. We have touched on children's nutrition. We will have herbal alternatives, although that is a specialized area that we add to a lot of our presentations. We have talked about stress. It was last week that we talked about stress, anxiety, and depression. In the past, we've talked about immunity. We've talked about aging, sarcopenia, and osteopenia, and the actual aging, and how we should reach out to the aged or the people my age in our beyond 40, so that they have a look at this opportunity now. And then we've talked at length about digestive health, and I always bring it in as well. Bones and joints we've done. We've touched on men a few times, quite recently as well. We've talked about energy and fitness. We've done women as well. Those are very popular to do because of the number of issues that we can dwell upon. And then, of course, last week's was very much like stress, a sharper mind, but we can patients in which we bring in the targeted solutions. But where to begin? With the core nutrition. And I thought I would present it this way because that frequently asked question, doctor, what should I give somebody with? That's in the realm of targeted solutions if they have started something already. So if you always answer me that they are already on this and that, then we'll go into the targeted solutions. Okay, now let's talk about toxins. Environmental toxins, I believe, are the missing piece of the puzzle in disease causation. So that's the other question I ask. What are they doing to clean their home and themselves? What are they using? And again, very often people have misunderstood our core cleaning products. And so that's a concept that I want us to popularize, that alongside core nutrition, we have core cleaning. And Super 10, if somebody has never used Super 10, oh my goodness, you don't know what you are missing. And you don't even know, you have no idea how you are wrecking your health. Then of course, G1 laundry. I hope it is coming back to you soon, or it has arrived. It was out temporarily, and I'm so glad it's becoming very, very popular. It does not have phthalates and other endocrine disrupting chemicals. That is one of the key reasons that people fall sick, because of hormone disruption. The other reason is that if they're ingesting these things by mistake, like dishwasher that they've bought over the counter, it has antimicrobial chemicals that kill the normal gut bacteria, and that is another reason for disease causation. Then we have a beautiful product called LDC. LDC is an amazing product. I don't believe a home should do without it. And if they have never tried it, please introduce it to your home and then invite all your neighbors, because if you don't, they are busy putting phosphates into the waterways, and they're putting all those triclosans and all those chemicals that we don't want. And we share these water supplies. We share them. So therein lies the secret to how ingenious Neolife is, because by sharing with everybody around you, you're helping yourself to remain as healthy as possible. And that's what we should be doing, all of us. And LDC, as easy as LDC, it breaks down grease, emulsifies dirt and oil, and it is a neutral pH. So thank you very much. I'm going to open it up for questions. Those people who cannot mute themselves are now at liberty to unmute and let us discuss. You can put up your hand and whoever I see is welcome to. Okay, Elvania, thank you. And
good evening, Dr. Eseza and everyone on the call.
good evening.
Doctor, I would like to know if somebody is allergic to soy, what is the plan?
Okay, generally, in general, I'll speak in very general terms. It is possible that they can be allergic, but it is also highly likely that they do not have the enzymes to handle soy, to digest soy, or peanuts, or whatever it is. Allergies are actually a manifestation of low enzyme activity to handle a particular allergen. And so, yeah, we've done a webinar on allergies and asthma as well, and it is a genuine problem. But it is also possible that the immune system is hypersensitive, and therefore through what I like to term as training the immune system to be able to handle something that can eventually get better. But I know your question is in the context of the fact that our shakes have soy, right? Is that the reason? And the Trianen oil is from soy.
Yes, I gave a shake to somebody who says she's not supposed to take soy because it causes bloating. So okay. I was wondering how I can help her.
Okay. Has she tried it though?
Yes, she's taking it, and I asked her for now to reduce to 1 scoop. Mm-hmm. She's mixing it with water. So I told her to reduce to 1 scoop and we see how it works.
Yeah.
But I don't know what else she can do.
Mm. Because what I was going to suggest is that rather than taking 2 scoops in a full glass, you can start by desensitizing. That's another way of handling an allergy. Start with a small dose and then increase and increase and increase so that the body's capacity to handle, capability to handle it gets better and better as the enzymes are formed. Because remember, they need all 22 amino acids. They need the vitamins and the minerals and all the other cofactors that go with it. Now, the other thing to remember is that it might not be just the soy. It might be other things as well in her environment that she needs to look into. It's easy to use that medical model and say, this is the reason, okay? One thing leading to one thing. But in real life, I've learned over my many years of medical practice, it is never just one thing. It's never one thing. In fact, I can put my head on the block and say, it is not one thing. And so just because a doctor or a friend or a colleague said it must be this thing, okay? And it was internalized in her psyche. She is now working from a position of fear. I've had that before as well, where people read the label and say, hey, there's this item, I can't use this. So for such a person, start small, you know, half a cup with half a scoop or something, and then increase gently, incrementally. What also helps is to do omega-3, lots of it, because that is anti-inflammatory, and carotenoid. I have a rule, 1 carotenoid, 1 omega. So if you're taking one omega, I do 1 carotenoid. I personally, per day, do 3 of each. And that's sort of like the optimal dose. When I feel I need more, then I can titrate upwards. Okay, I hope that answers it. Anybody else?
Thank you, doctor.
Pleasure. Okay, Lillian.
Yes, good evening, doctor.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, what supplements can assist someone with the endometriosis and the ovarian syndrome?
The polycystic ovarian syndrome?
Yes, please.
Okay, we've had a webinar on that at length. It's lumped together with all the other things like fibroids. And start with the core nutrition. That's what this webinar is about. Then you can add feminine herbal. You can add some minerals like zinc. You can add or do a detox so that the liver is, the liver immunity is encouraged to break down estrogens, okay? Because endometriosis is basically estrogen dominance that drives it, okay? However, in that environment, are there xenoestrogens? Do they have xenoestrogens? Do you know what xenoestrogens are? Lillian? Do you
Not really.
Okay. What are they washing their clothes with?
The normal soap.
What is the normal soap? From the shop?
Yes, please.
Okay. It's the first thing that you will have to educate them on. The normal soap is full of xenoestrogens. So she washes her panties, her clothes that she wears on top, her bed sheets and her pajamas, okay? I'm sure she walks around town fully dressed. And so those xenoestrogens are absorbed into her bloodstream. And then they raise the estrogen levels, but of the wrong type of estrogens, because they're external, synthetic, toxic estrogens. And so the body is confused and it reads it as too much estrogen. Now, if you can imagine, estrogen makes tissues grow, okay? Estrogen makes tissues grow. That is why when we girls become pregnant, the estrogen levels go up. And so if there's too much of that, endometriosis will happen. Polycystic ovarian cysts disease will happen, or syndrome. Fibroids will happen, and they'll become obese. And with that, they set up a vicious cycle, because obesity is part of the polycystic ovarian syndrome. So remember the rule: remove the offending toxins so that you can repair. But if you start at the far end of throwing a lot of supplements while you're continuing with life as usual, you know, your soap is too expensive, I'll go to the shop and buy that stuff, hoping that by some miracle, Trianen and the whole Pro Vitality will cure it. It will not. It's like having a leaking bucket. Remember that song we used to sing, there's a hole in the bucket. Dear Liza, there's a hole in the bucket. And so Liza is trying to carry water in this bucket, but there's a hole in the bucket. It's very much like, yes, there's some toxic chemical that is continuing. So even if you give all these things, you won't see results. Okay, I hope that is made the point. And this has been my preach for years. The Ugandans know me. I come to Uganda and they say, you know, she's back to tell us about that soap. Oh my gosh. Can't she tell us another story? I'm afraid there's no other story, guys. There actually is no other story. Okay, who else would like to ask? For those of you who understand Luganda, I just spoke a little bit of Luganda. Okay, is that Rosemary?
Yes, that's me.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Doctor, for the presentation. Sometimes I'm challenged. People who have challenges with the kidney or liver disease, sometimes I get stuck with where to start from. Do I start also with the core products like Neolife Shake and Provitality, or I just start with Provitality and just stop there? So I'm like, will the organs manage? Something like that. Do I start with BetaGuard? Will the organs manage without energy? Yeah, maybe you can advise, Doctor.
Okay. Those ones, I actually, let's say it's a kidney issue. I would gently introduce a shake and I would give them some Treonine and carotenoid. And then once they've settled with that, I would give the core nutrition, but in small incremental doses. Why do I start with a shake? Because it has undergone the ProteGuard process. So it will not stress the liver. The liver is actually freed up to heal if it is liver disease. The kidneys are not having to excrete protein that has been digested by the system because it has been pre-digested. And so it will start the repair work, but I would start it in maybe a half dose, and as the person improves, increase it. It will help to deal with the edema that happens with kidney disease, but start small just so that you're supplying the nutrition. And I would give Treonine. I would actually now go targeted. There's CoQ10, okay? So that you help those mitochondria. And then I would be patient. You know, when somebody's sick, have you ever wondered why they're called a patient? Because that is ideally what they should try and be. They should try and be as patient as possible. Look, if they're 40 years old, it probably took about 39 and a half years to get to that situation. So they cannot, in all fairness, expect to get out of it in 2 weeks. And that is something I needed to say, actually, that when you give the core nutrition, and they come to you after 3 weeks and say, we are not seeing any results, please remind them that you expect them to adhere to the 90-day rule. That is one core nutrition, followed by another core nutrition, followed by another core nutrition. And that's why I put 3 of them on my screen before they come to you and say, these things are not working. Because if they don't give them time, remember I said it has taken them most of their life to get to that level. And so we are people of absolute integrity. Value number 1, we do not make promises that are outrageous. So tell them to be patient, but to be consistent and to look at how else they can make their lives better. That's why I always show the cleaning products. I wish I could show the whole thing. If they're using toxic skincare, that is going to stress the kidneys and the liver. If they're using too much of the wrong diet, I've mentioned millions of people are gluten sensitive and they don't even know it. I discovered it the hard way that I was actually very sensitive to gluten. And when I decided to try it out for myself, gluten is a recognized reason for liver failure. Did you know that? And it's also a recognized reason for a lot of autoimmune diseases. We have covered that in a webinar, autoimmunity. And so Neolife gives us a total opportunity, but it does not give us a magic wand. we have to be patient, perhaps. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Is there anything else anybody else would like to ask? Rosemary, are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy. Thank you so much.
Okay. The other thing about the liver, by the way, a lot of people are suffering from fatty liver. I hope you understand that concept of fatty liver. Fatty liver, a lot of people have mistaken it to be as a result of eating too much fat. You know, that it sort of is logical. The name is fatty liver, so somebody must have eaten too much fat. To the contrary, fatty liver is caused by too much carbohydrate, processed carbohydrate, all the sugars. So when we say, please stop processed sugars and carbohydrates that break into sugars, it is in an effort to save the liver from turning into a fatty liver. And once it has turned into a fatty liver, it cannot break down a lot of things, such as hormones. So hormones stick around, and for Lillian's question, estrogens stick around and they become bad estrogens that will cause diseases such as what you were asking about: polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroids, and endometriosis. They stick around and cause change in body shape. I think all of you are wondering, hey, what is happening to our men, guys? What is happening to our ladies? How come everybody is becoming rounder and rounder and rounder? Look at the diet. Look at the diet, seriously. Yeah, and enough said, but another question, please. Okay, Mr. Chitio, Sejemba. Unmute first. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. In the past, we used to have a water filtration system in Uganda, and most of the areas have been urbanized, and there's a lot of chlorinated water, which we both use in cooking, bathing, and even doing the washing and whatnot. And many people are not ready to do a detox frequently. What can you advise regarding safe water for domestic use?
Yeah, that is actually a question for all of us to be concerned about, but they are water filtration systems that can be purchased other than what we used to have. I had my water filtration system for many years, and I must say it contributed to my good health. But when it eventually came to a time when we couldn't get cartridges anymore, and then we couldn't replace the piping, I decided to look for a different brand because they stopped bringing that particular one. So very much like looking for a pair of shoes that is not made by Neolife, because Neolife doesn't make shoes anymore, or if they've ever made shoes, I don't think they have. You may have to do that. Look for a different brand and continue filtering your water. I bought one here in South Africa by a brand that I could find here called H2O. And yeah, it makes a good gift to a loved one. So I bought one for one daughter when she moved into her house, then I bought one for the other daughter as well, so that they continue to filter their water, because that's how I raised them, on filtered water. But yeah, it's a real problem. The option, the other alternative, is to make sure that you do the detox regularly. Do a cellular detox regularly with the detox program. Okay, or should we have an early night?
There's a question in the inbox.
Yeah, I was just going to look at that. Okay. Okay, I beg your pardon. I did not introduce myself. My name is Esa Zanambasi. I'm a medical doctor by training, and by passion, I like what the sense and the ethics of this company are. And so, yes, I've been a medical doctor for many, many, many years, most of my life. And then what's the best use of LC30? Can it replace LDC and SuperTime? It's a heavy duty cleaner. It's excellent. It's very well priced. You can use it as well, but it is more of an industrial and heavy duty cleaner. It would make a good one for restaurants and shops and places like that. But I have LC30 as well, and I use it quite interchangeably when I need to, like to scrub the floor or something. Okay, what's the best way to mix NutriShake? Using milk or plain water? NutriShake is best mixed with milk. But for those who are sensitive to milk or have chosen not to continue using milk, such as myself, that's why I transitioned totally to Neolife Shake. And then what is this gluten? Where is it? Okay, gluten is it's actually plural. There are several types of gluten. So many types of gluten. It is a form of protein that is found in lots of grain. Most grains have a form of gluten or other, but the most notorious one has been found to be the one, unfortunately, that is found in wheat. And some people are sensitive to other forms of grain that have gluten in them. And the sensitivity manifests in different ways. It can be sensitivity or intolerance. Now, I once had a webinar which showed how it was a major cause of a lot of conditions. So I won't go into it now, but one way to do it is if you have an issue like arthritis or failure to lose weight or rising blood pressure or even diabetes type 2, you could decide to eliminate some of those grains and for a period of time, not just for 2 days and then you go back to them, but eliminate and months later, see what happens. Because I did that, and each time I now eat anything with gluten, I become bloated and very, very uncomfortable and very miserable. And gluten from wheat has actually been associated with a lot of mental disorders as well, which is quite scary because it is very commonly used in our diets. So, Mrs. Mwangi, I hope that answers your question. Okay. Okay, Nigel, good to see you. You can unmute.
Good evening, Doc.
Good evening.
And everyone in the meeting. My name is Nigel Rowdy. I've known Dr. Nambasi for, for a couple of years. So I would first like to thank her for inviting me to this session. It was very educational, and I hope she would be sharing this so that we can really take some tips and just to record what transpired today. Doc, for someone who is mostly, I interact with people in gym facilities. So I think I read something with regards to muscular atrophy, but there's a term that you use. I think as people get older, they tend to lose the muscle tone, you know, and just the muscle tissue. It's a natural occurrence. But would like to know from your side, what supplementation can they use to maintain the muscle tone or tissue?
Okay. Very, very important is exercise. And then very, very important is protein in the form of amino acids. And we have 3 very important amino acids among the essential amino acids. Now, whenever you hear essential, it means that you have to supply it. Your body won't fabricate anything by itself. You have to supply it in your diet, right? And our diets are not supplying fully what we need. Neolife Shake, Sports Shake, Sports Protein Shake, and NutriShake all have those 3 muscle building, they're called branch chain amino acids, BCAA. Leucine, isoleucine, and valine, they are very important for building muscle. So a lot of people go and pump machines and take all sorts of other things, including too much steroid to build muscle, but all they're doing is bulking them up with lots of water and lots of fat. And the muscle is becoming smaller and smaller. And, you know, muscle is a very interesting tissue. It is heavier than fat, okay? And so a lot of people then step on the scales and then go on these crazy diets because they want to lose weight, and they end up losing muscle because their diet is crazy. It's not scientific, okay? So one has to be clear what their goal is. And if they're clear that they want to maintain their muscle, they will exercise and they will take the right nutrition and they will take the core nutrition. That is what I would recommend. Once the core nutrition has been done, add-ons are what we have as targeted solutions. They might need extra vitamin B, they might need extra omega. There's a lot, there's full motion. We have a lot, but today I wanted to really focus on the core nutrition. I hope that answers it.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay. All right, there's a question here. What can I give a woman who has been in coma for 7 months because of a stroke which caused bleeding in the brain? She feeds through the tube. What have you given already? I would be curious to know. Please unmute and answer.
I've been giving her NutriShake. They put TNN in the food and blend it. CoQ10, Revera Plus, and omega-3 salmon oil.
Yeah.
Sometimes lipotropic adjunct.
Yeah, I think healing in that situations of the brain can happen, and it does indeed happen. It's just that it's a very slow process because you can imagine the amount of damage, especially if it is hemorrhagic, it has bled. Is she breathing spontaneously, or is she on machines to keep her breathing?
She's breathing on her own. She's breathing on her own.
All right.
She spent 2 months on the breathing machine. Then she got a little bit better and they removed her. She's now breathing on her own. She first closed her eyes for about 3 months, but now she can see. You see, she understands very little.
How much carotenoid are you using?
Actually, I haven't given her carotenoid.
Okay, maybe that's what
Mm.
might be the game changer. If you can
Mhm.
do, hey, it's going to be quite a price, but if you can do 3 phytodefenses, you know, blend them.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
one in the morning, one midday or afternoon, one in the evening for a period of
Mm.
time and see the difference that will make. Because
Okay.
carotenoid encourages healing. Let's just
Mm.
simplify it like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah, it
flavor.
has been quite expensive.
Hmm?
Has been quite expensive because we have spent over 50 million on her, and it is draining the family.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
there's
So.
no short answer to that one, I'm afraid. I'm so sorry.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The challenge is she's 85 years old.
Ah.
You can see she's quite old,
Mm,
so the healing is very slow.
okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody is asking, okay, Lydia, thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Esisa.
Okay. What can I recommend to someone with serious arthritis but is allergic to fish? Have you tried giving her omega-3 to see how she's allergic? Because again, a lot of people have been exposed to something and then they approach these supplements from a position of fear. Whereas if you desensitize them by starting with a small dose, so maybe start with a mini and see what will happen. A mini that is omega-3, the small capsule. If nothing happens, then after, let's say, 3 days, double the dose. They'll be then taking the equivalent of 1 omega-3 big capsule. If nothing happens after a few more days, then you can give 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, until eventually they become desensitized and see the benefits. But with each omega, please remember the carotenoid, because yeah, that would help. And then I would also, believe it or not, one of the targeted ones would be botanical balance. It's a very good anti-inflammatory and other anti-inflammatories that we have. We have flavonoids, but that is now going into the realm of targeted solutions. I wanted us to really focus on the core nutrition and the core cleaning that I love. Okay, guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for this one. We have run over time. Somebody is asking, what do you do to people who are diabetic and another on pressure? They want to start on supplements, but their budget is so low. Yeah, I think you heard the rationale of taking out the real core of the core foundation, which is TreeNN. So with a low budget, everybody who's serious about their health will look for the money to buy some TreeNN. That's what I would do. Then I would show them the business and encourage them to build a business that will pay them to afford these products. And therefore, what I'll tell them, and this is what I tell many people, when the time comes to go and buy soap from the shop, don't do that. Collect all that money, buy yourself a Super 10 and an LDC. You're going to save money out of that to afford your nutrition products. It is a true story. It's a true story. Don't start at the end of the story, start at the beginning. People are wasting money that they could invest in their health. They're wasting it down the drain and poisoning the waterways for their neighbors. You've just heard me say that. Tell them to stop doing that. Take that money, put it into their cleaning products. Then next month, they won't need to buy any cleaning products. The money that they would have spent buying cleaning products, they put towards their TreeNN. or towards their pro-vitality or towards their core nutrition in its entirety. And that's how we shall end, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. I hope this has been useful. Good night.
Right, thanks, Doc.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.